jolly good.
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another My Thoughts on. Today I'll be talking about Kung Fu Panda 3, the third and I assume last entry in the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. This is once again directed by Jennifer Yule Nelson and also by Alexandro Koano, I think that's how you pronounce it. It came out in 2016, and like the last two movies, I also saw it in cinemas just as well, to be quite so frank. I remember when the trailers came out for this movie, and it was interesting really because the teaser pretty much gave you a rough idea of what's going to happen. You know exactly how it's going to end up, and you know how it will end, and then it got more and more interesting. This one seems to be very overlooked. Pretty much like lots of DreamWorks movies. Like, people say it's not as good as the first two, but they still liked it. Will that be the case with me? I don't know. I have not watched it in quite a long time. Probably not since, I don't know, 2016? I don't know. Right, so the movie's about Po, who has to learn the master of Chi. He has to master Chi. I can't speak English. To defeat this new, bigger, I suppose, enemy named Kai, voiced by J.K. Simmons, who wants to take all of the Chi from the Dragon Warrior himself, from Shifu, the students, and, well, eventually, the pandas of the Panda Village. Yes, I am not joking. Not joking at all. Which leads us to Li Shan, voiced by Bryan Cranston, who's actually the real father of Po, and kind of a spoiler really, but near the end of the movie we get to see the Panda Village, and like I said, it leads up to this, and so Po is really, really excited to see his actual dad, but his other dad, Mr. What's his name? The goose. I can't remember his name. Mr. Ping is a little bit more pessimistic about it, and so he goes with him to the Panda Village to learn Kung Fu. Well, not just, he's already mastered that, but to learn more and more about the village itself, and eventually Chi to defeat Kai and his zombies, like Jade zombies, It's funnier when you see it in the movie. Trust me. Now, I liked the first two Kung Fu Panda movies. They had both films had very tight stories that, for the most part, I thought really, really worked. Like, incredibly. Even though they're very familiar and formulaic, it still worked as a franchise. Two movies anyway, but with this, I'm trying to think of how to put it. This is probably the first time that the Kung Fu Panda movie becomes not awful, but very been there, done that. And you could say the same thing about the first two movies, but they did it in a more unique way. This one feels more like, it feels like you've seen this kind of movie before. Main character discovers where he's from, goes to a place, a villain comes to destroy what he found, and he has to eventually, take out the villain with his new friends. Kind of like Rio 2, Despicable Me 3, I guess, and Incredibles 2. It's like that. Sequels usually kind of do that. I say this did it better than both Rio and Despicable Me 3, because Because when Poe goes to the village, it is a lot more engaging and colourful and playful too. I say this is probably the funniest out of all the movies, and also I'm happy that these movies don't rely on pop culture juvenile humour. And yes, there's butt humour, but first off, there isn't much. Second, it's not annoying, which is good. I don't mind it so much, which is very, very, very refreshing to see in a animated kids movie, unlike fucking Ice Age 5, which came out that year as well. So that's how you not do an anime sequel, and this one does. The action, the battles are still strong, creative, and visually dazzling to look at, especially with the backstory of Oogway and Kai. It's very, very inventive and interesting. This is a very interesting story. I wouldn't say it's as strong as the first two, but still interesting and actually a lot more simple. The third act is kind of where the movie fulfills its purpose, really, in terms of what it's trying to achieve, and it gets more epic and it gets more awesome. The first two were very nice, relaxing, likable in its tone, but this one gets bigger. Do I have any issues? Not particularly. Well, I mean, besides the fact that it feels the story is probably the most average in terms of the Kung Fu Panda movies, everything else about it, I was completely more than okay with it. Strong comedy is still there, the big action's still there, the great storytelling and the great mythology is still there. It's cool, epic, new. You wouldn't get bored with a story like this, and you could probably guess what would happen, but at least it keeps you interested in a way. Animation. Kung Fu Panda 2 came out in 2011. This came out like roughly 5 years later, and it looks a little better because technology and all that. It's going to its textures and its look is eventually going to look. I said look again. Aren't I a kint? It's going to look better, to be quite frank. And yeah, it looks pretty great. I mean, DreamWorks' animation has usually been quite impressive looking, and this is no exception. It's beautiful. The textures still resemble the two other movies, but better. The Panda Village looks so beautiful and lifelike. Kai is a very cool looking villain. I love the way he looks. I love his zombies. There's lots of colour in it. It's a very, very pretty and colourful movie as well. And even the characters from the other films remain the same. They still look great. There's not a bad element I can think of. It's still a fantastic looking, well crafted animation from DreamWorks. And it's no secret to say that it's the best animation in this trilogy. Characters and acting. Okay, so the characters we know from the other films are in this, but to their credit, they are still likable. Poe may be a little bit annoying at times. He's still likably charming. He's the geeky dragon warrior, and that's what we like about him. He's determined, likable, but also goofy. Master Shifu is still the master trainer for Poe. You got Mr. Ping, who actually has more of a prominent role than the second movie, kind of. Well, in a way. Oh, excuse me. I suppose. So there. Tigress. Tigress and the Furious 5 are still likable, still funny, still just entertaining, but maybe with the exception of Tigress, the rest, I'll be very honest, how do I put it? they're kind of unneeded. What do I mean by that? I mean, they're entertaining and they're helpful, but there isn't a whole lot to them other than that they are more like comic reliefs. And don't get me wrong, they're funny, but I don't see a point for them to be in the movie. They could be in the background doing this and that, but they don't have much of a purpose other than helping out with the main characters, of course. And the new characters are actually pretty good. Lee is the actual dad of Po, and while he may be a older version of Po, he's still likable. He's still nice, and he provides good exposition on the Panda Village, and he has a good bonding with his son, and that's quite nice. Mr. Ping has a bigger role, and he's great as usual, always the funny part. The other pandas in the village are not bad, actually. They're pretty good. One of them is voiced by Wayne Knight, or should I say two of them, because he voices two, apparently. There's a dancer named May May, who's voiced by Kate Hudson. You would probably know her from a certain film that I will not be talking about again. You know the one. You've also got Al Roker as well. That's weird. Anyways, they're all goofy, likable, but memorable. Kai is okay, how do I put this? He's not the best villain compared to Tai Lung and Lord Shen. I mean, don't get me wrong, thanks to J.K. Simmons' very entertaining performance, I mean, he is great in the movie. And his personality is a little funny. He is very entertaining, but he's not the strongest villain. Not even close to who, like I said, Shen and Tai. But he is still entertaining and threatening enough to be a good villain. Voice acting, top notch, just fantastic stuff. Jack Black is still just amazing. Other returning actors like Dustin Hoffman, Angelina Jolie, Jackie Chan, Seth Rogen, Lucy Liu, David Cross, they're all great. Not a weak performance. Bryan Cranston's just so likable as Lee. Not as good as Chief from Isle of Dogs, but still amazing. J.K. Simmons, again, not as good as Mr. Fletcher from Whiplash, or his voice performance in Zootropolis, which coincidentally came out not only within the same year, but within the same month in the UK, that is. Kate Hudson's actually pretty good. I liked her performance. Wayne Knight, a nice addition to any movie, really. And I can't think of anyone else, so yeah. The characters are likable. Some are not really needed, but still provide enough to make me go, okay, you're worth it, in a way. They're funny, likable, superb voice acting. I can't complain, really. Hans Zimmer's score, and just Hans Zimmer, no John Powell, which is a bit of a shame, is at its best. It's more epic, more beautiful, more relaxing, just bigger and incredible, really. It's Hans Zimmer. What else can be said? Okay, I wouldn't say... Okay, this is definitely not the best Kung Fu Panda movie. I think the second one is, in the first movie, second. Kung Fu Panda 2 would be the first best. The first movie would be the second best. That's a bit confusing. And the third movie, coincidentally, third, or the weakest. But it is not a bad movie at all. It is great, but I wouldn't say it's the complete package. Kung Fu Panda 3 is a very solid third entry in the movie. It has strong comedy, good heart, and good... And, a good theme to it. The action is strong and creative. The animation is beautiful and dazzling. The characters are memorable and likable. The voice acting's solid. The music's great. It's another It's another great Kung Fu Panda movie. But since the story is probably very average on paper, and Furious 5 and I Say Shifu are kind of pointless, but that doesn't mean the movie's bad. If you like the other two movies, go watch it. I wouldn't. Don't get your expectations up all the way high, but enjoy it. It's good fun. Rating. That's going to be hard. I'd probably say 9.2 out of 10. Yeah, 9.2 out of 10. Sounds like a song. Again, it's not the best one, but still a great movie nonetheless. So there you go, Kung Fu Panda 3. Fantastic movie, but not the best out of all of them. The weakest, but still very good. Very, 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 very good, I must say. So next up, today's Friday, so Ron's Gone Wrong and Venom 2, or Venom Let There Be Carnage, is out today. So I will be seeing both films on the same day, so you'll be getting my thoughts on both movies at the same time. So, that's cool, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty cool. So look forward to those, Malarkey, Mascaraki. And what do you think of Kung Fu Panda 3? Is it good, bad, decent? Do you want to see it? Let me know below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And until next time, time to do some Kung Fu fighting. No, it isn't.